Hello, hello. How is everybody doing out there? Oh my goodness. How is everyone? I hope everybody's having a great day. We are getting started here. Thank you, everybody. We saw lots of comments out there, it looks like. Anyway, Heather. Heather, how are you today?
I'm doing really well. I'm excited. I'm trying really hard to click on the comments. There we go. There they are.
Hey, dear Myrtle.
There they are.
Richard. Hey.
Spanish from Richard. Yeah, that's awesome.
I'm mixing it up.
Terry is out there. This is so exciting because we have this really awesome guest today. She's going to love it. This is great. Sherry is out there as well. Hello, everybody. Just a nice reminder from Mert.
Great.
And hello, Peggy K. Nice to have you here. All right, let's get going, shall we?
Yes, we shall. So anyway, this is awesome guest. I'm gonna tell you, I have been a huge fan forever of this guest that we have on. And I remember in 2015 when I finally got a chance to meet this person, it was so awesome. And I got tons of pictures. That's all I can say is I got tons of pictures because I was like, oh my God, I finally got to meet the Peggy K. Without further ado, Peggy K, say hello to everyone.
Hi, everybody. It's good to see so many, well, not so many faces here, but see everybody in the chat and to be on the show.
It's awesome. It's so awesome to have you on. I think everybody will be super interested in this particular subject because I know some people, before this, I was over in Facebook and I was reading some stuff and some people left a comment on the video itself and said, I don't even know why would I use Blogger versus a website and all this kind of stuff? So I know there's going to be questions out there. So it's so cool. So they're already doing it, aren't they, Heather? I might as well go ahead and start with that because my members already know what to put up there, don't they? Let's go ahead.
I wasn't going to interrupt because I want to talk about Blogger. We only got a few minutes.
There you go. So here we go. Where are you from? Tell me the country, city, state, etc. Go ahead, Peggy. You start us off.
I am from California. I'm in the San Francisco Bay Area. I live in the East Bay. And awesome. This is where I grew up. I've lived in various places in the East Coast, in Southern California, but here I am in the Bay Area. We are still sheltering in place, so I have been at home a lot.
I understand. So anybody that's out there, be sure and tell us where you're from too. I know Heather already put a couple of them up there, but yeah, tell us where you're from, where you're about, even in the world. I mean, I know one thing that's nice about this is we'll have, I know Roz will come in sometimes from Australia. So it's really kind of cool to get some of the, you know what I'm saying? That's one thing that's cool about this platform too and doing this kind of stuff. So
it's so cool to see everybody here from all across the country and outside the U.S. I love it.
All right, without further ado, let me just kind of show off you because I just want to. Here is Peggy K. Peggy K, this is your Blogger website. Is that correct?
It is.
Which is awesome.
So this is in Blogger using one of the new modern themes. I modified it a little bit, customized it a little bit myself, but it's pretty close to what the original default theme is and what you can actually do without having to know a lot about theme design and things like that. So it's nice because it's a responsive design. All of the current themes are responsive. So if you have a tiny screen, everything rearranges itself.
Oh, nice. So you mean like for mobile or iPad or something like that, it's going to adjust and make those changes. Nice.
There's not a separate mobile design. Instead, it's just one design that, gets basically reconfigured as the browser size changes.
Right. Excellent. Yes. Nice. Okay. So, and then you do also have a YouTube channel. I always like to show this too. I love it. I mean, I love some of the stuff that you have on there. A lot of it's stuff when you've been on my show. So thanks. No, I'm just kidding.
I haven't made a video tutorial recently because I've had a bunch of other things going on.
I'm sure.
And I realized that I need to update a lot of my tutorials because now there's a whole new interface. So I've got a lot of things in the works.
Go back to that right there. Okay. And I want you to click on the word Blogger in the middle. Like right there, not more. Click on that one.
I want to click on more.
But I want you to click on
because it has Google Plus. So, okay, anyway, go
ahead.
I had to do that just to have fun. All right, Blogger in the middle.
Okay, the reason why I'm having you do that is because of this comment right here. Andrew says, in my honest opinion, that is the Blogger Bible right there. So just want you guys to know that that's where Andrew goes. And
That's
since
actually
Andrew is who Google goes to, this is now.
Hold on. We got a
I
thank
wanted,
you,
oh,
Jim. Appreciate you. Thank you for the super chat. And that is the date. 6/10, so it's the date, so that's why he puts it up there. I think that's so funny, but it's awesome. Thank you.
I wanted to mention something starting out that's not specifically about Blogger, but I know a lot of folks here, they have AdSense ads on their website or blog or their YouTube partners. And one thing that YouTube and I and everyone wants to remind you is if you want to raise money for a cause, please don't ask anyone to click on your ads. There's a lot of things going around where you say, oh, you can support a good cause for free, click the ads or, refresh the video and watch the same video over and over again. Don't do that because Google actually has really good systems to detect invalid activity. And if it's determined to be invalid, the creator doesn't actually get that money. It doesn't get that advertising revenue. It's returned back to the advertisers. And if there's too much of it, they can actually have their AdSense account disabled because that's a lot of bad activity. So just a reminder, please don't ever ask anyone to click your ads. And if you want to support someone, it's great to read their content. It's great to watch their videos, but don't do anything artificial. Don't click all the ads because normal people don't click all the ads.
Eileen Smith. We got some great super chats. Thank you guys. I really do appreciate that out there. But no, some excellent advice because obviously AdSense is the revenue part of all of this, right? I mean, it is. Yeah. So
for both us and for YouTube, not for us and blog writers. I mean, it is not just for how you make revenue. It's for how Google makes revenue too, right?
So that's why they want to keep it straight and keep it on the up and up, basically, is what you're saying, right? I mean,
exactly. Yeah. Don't do anything to try and bump up ad revenue artificially. Now, one thing I point out that if you are a YouTube partner, you can do live streams or premieres, and super chats are a great way to contribute to creators. And if the creator says, oh, I'm going to donate the money to such and such charity, that's great. So doing a super chat donation kind of thing, that's an awesome way to support creators. Don't just go click all their ads.
Right. And that's basically because it is through YouTube. It's an approved way.
Yeah. It's hard for people who don't have a lot of extra cash, right?
I know.
And I think a lot of these things go around because people want to support charities, but they don't have money to donate. But you can also, I think, help your cause by just sharing information, saying, look, here's this great cause. You can volunteer places. You can share links on social media. Just don't try to artificially do anything because.
Cool. Great advice.
Anyway, so that's not a blogger, but I just wanted to put a message there because
I appreciate that though because AdSense a lot of times, and this is what I've heard, and you can correct this because I know you're a big AdSense person as well. They'll shut you down without even telling you why. I mean, they just shut you down. They just stop you or whatever and do that kind of stuff, right?
Ultimately, it's the advertisers. The money, people think, oh, the money's coming from Google, but that's not true. The money is coming from advertisers. A lot of those advertisers are small businesses. They certainly don't want to be paying money for ads that people are clicking, not because they're interested in it, but because they're just trying to, get revenue. And so if they work really hard to prevent that kind of activity because it scares the advertisers away if advertisers think that they aren't getting, anything out of their advertising.
100%. Yes. All right. On to Blogger. Let's do some Blogger stuff. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about the new interface. Let's talk about it a little bit. Okay.
I first wanted to mention, for those of you saying, why use Blogger?
Oh yeah. Great. Yeah.
This is, in my opinion, first of all, Blogger versus social media. If you have your own blog, that's your space. You can write what you want and then you can share it on social media. On social media, you're sort of at the whim of the algorithms and, various strict
platforms, all their different things.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. So this can be your own space. It obviously gives you a lot more space to write than Twitter does. I mean, it kind of drives me crazy sometimes. It's like people have the blog post amount of text in like 75 tweets or something like that. Mm-hmm. So it gives you your own space. You can kind of lay it out the way you want. You can share what you want. And then you can share it on social media. So it doesn't prevent you from actually having it on social media. And I think personally, I like to use Blogger because it's pretty simple. I know a lot of people use WordPress, which is great. WordPress can do a ton of stuff, but for just a basic blog where you don't need all the bells and whistles, Blogger is really nice.
And it has a few bells and a few whistles, right? It's not boring or anything like that. It's got some stuff that can be added.
Yeah, so I have.
There's some things there. There's some things. I mean.
I think what you can see on my blog is that you can add a lot of personal elements. It doesn't have, like, if you compare it to WordPress, it doesn't have as many widgets and built-in things. WordPress has a huge library of different widgets, and Blogger used to have a lot more third-party widgets, but they actually removed them. The third-party ones, I think, expect in part because some of them were spammy. Which is always a downside of using any third-party tools. But, there's a lot of things out there where you can just get the code to add a widget and add that to your blog's layout. And again, if you want a full site, maybe WordPress is what you want to do if you want a whole content management system. But if you just want to have a blog with some, posts and static pages, Blogger's great. Google is hosting it, which means that you don't have to worry about hosting things. I do have a custom domain set up for mine, so I'm paying for the domain, which is pointed at Blogger. But you don't have to do that. You can use a free Blogspot URL. So that's my pitch. Now,
let me ask you real quick, because I know one person in our community asked this. What about does it have HTML capabilities and things like that? Can you add that kind of stuff?
You can add all that kind of stuff. The themes, people create third-party themes for Blogger. Okay. First of all, you can edit the theme code if you understand how it all works. There is some documentation about how the themes are constructed. There's lots of third-party themes you can use. And in your blog's layout, you can add a gadget for HTML and add any HTML there. So that's how I've added a lot of things. Like on the sidebar, you see a subscribe button for my YouTube channel. That's a really interesting question from Phil about content. Now, Blogger's content policy is different than what YouTube has. Of course, copyrighted content, that's going to be an issue anywhere. You shouldn't use somebody else's copyrighted content without permission. And there are things about harassment, impersonment, all those kinds of things are not allowed. You can, however, have adult content if you put it behind an adult content warning. You're not allowed to have commercial adult content, but if you want to post your naked photos on a blog, you can use Blogger to do that.
There's good news, Michael.
There's content, so there's a warning. But it's interesting that this has been a long term in Blogger. They actually tried to change that some years ago, and there was a huge outcry, and they walked back on it. So you can have pornographic content, within reason. There's obviously no child pornography, nothing illegal. But
and be sure to share that blog with me. Be sure to share that blog with me, folks. No, I'm just kidding. No.
and to that end, if that's your thing, you can actually upload video directly to Blogger. So
can you really? Oh my God.
I didn't realize that.
And Blogger actually in its settings, you can manage your Blogger videos. That's sort of a historical thing as well. But again, so that means that you can put things up on Blogger that you cannot put up on YouTube.
Additional
if that's what you want to
do. Yeah, Eileen had posted this, but it came in as you were talking about pornography, so I didn't want to bring that up to confuse the audience that maybe Eileen is not. Eileen is not doing that.
I will say, if you want to show AdSense ads on it, you obviously have to be in compliance with the AdSense program policies and have them, advertiser friendly and so forth. So just because there's a lot of people out there who assume, oh, Blogger is Google and AdSense is Google, therefore anything that's allowed on Blogger should be okay for AdSense, and that's not the case.
It's not the same. Yeah, it's not the same thing for sure. That's for sure.
All right, all that aside. 15 minutes of our time is gone, and I want to talk about the new Blogger interface. I really want to see that.
Okay. So I wanted to just, I will share my screen in just a second, but I wanted to mention that one of the biggest main differences is that the new Blogger interface is responsive, which the design is responsive, which means that it works on small screens like your phone or tablet or whatever. It shrinks and expands based on the window size. Because one of the real drawbacks of what they're calling legacy Blogger is that if you tried to open Blogger on your mobile phone, the interface was terrible because teeny tiny text. There's also, I want to mention really quickly, if you have an Android phone, there is a Blogger app. It's really basic. But what you want to do is just add some text, add some photos. That is actually probably easier than using the new interface, because the new interface has lots of settings and all these different things. If all you want to do is work on your blog post, you might want to try the Android app.
Okay, awesome. Excellent.
This is all new. I mean, these things are sort of neglected for a long time. And then last fall, they started making these changes. It's really great to see Google, obviously investing in Blogger. And,
absolutely, it's been a long time coming from what I've heard from a bunch of bloggers. That's for sure.
It gets exciting when they bring up something new or start putting life back into an old product. It gets exciting. At least it does for me. So that's why I'm really excited to have you sharing with us the new interface and seeing what Blogger has. For the rest of us now.
I think one of the things that I've noticed, being product expert for a long time, these things kind of come and go in importance. Obviously, Google Plus was the main focus for a long time. Without Google Plus there, a lot of focus has shifted. So it's great. So let me share my screen.
Yeah, feel free to. I'm going to say, here's some comments. A long time indeed. That is for sure. Andrew, you're right. Hi there, Eileen Smith.
I like this from Russ. Embedding a YouTube video is so easy. That's so true. I mean, so true. To just, all you really have to do is click a button, and then you have a YouTube video in there, which is not the same way in my WordPress website.
Exactly.
It was.
All right. So tell us what you're showing here. What we got?
So this is the legacy Blogger interface. This is my test blog. You can see there's a notice at the top that says, look, the old interface is going to go away. You should try the new one. So to try the new one, you can scroll down on the left menu. There's a big orange button that says, try the new Blogger. Just click that. And you can see that the layout is totally different. And one of the things, let's see, I want to point out, I don't know if this will actually show as I'm sharing, but if you change the window size, you can see that it adjusts.
Oh, yeah.
But even on narrow screen, and then it has all the same
that's good
as legacy Blogger. It if you're familiar with Blogger, the menu on the left is the same. The pages look different. The way you actually do things is slightly different. And so just to do it. One thing that you will notice, and this is a big question that we see all the time, is how do I edit a post? And that's one of the things that's not obvious at all, but you edit a post by clicking the post title. But first I wanted to show, this lets you can look at your published, draft, or scheduled, and you can also filter by labels, add labels. You can select multiple posts.
Oh, this is a great comment from Hillary.
And edit things in bulk, add labels, revert to draft, delete things, publish things, all in bulk. So those things.
Great comment from Hillary here, says, thanks, this may make it easier to blog from my tablet. That's kind of cool.
Yeah. And one of the things that I want to really emphasize is that the new interface is still under development. Blogger really wants to hear your feedback. If you see something that isn't working right, or that you'd like to work differently, anything, to send feedback, click the question mark, the circle with the question mark, and select send feedback. That will pop up a feedback window. It lets you include a screenshot. And constructive criticism is best, of course, instead of just saying, oh, this sucks, or something really vague. Instead, you can say, I don't think this is working the way I want it to work. Here's how I'd like to see it. And they're reading that feedback. They won't respond to you, but they do read it and take that into account. The other thing I wanted to mention on the posts page is that in the search, there are now what they call advanced search operators. It's not that user-friendly at the moment, but you can actually do a search and sort it. For example, instead of sorting it in published order, you can sort it in the order the posts have been updated. You can search by author, title, label. You can also filter posts based on a date range. So you can say anything that was published between January and April 2017, and you can do those searches. So that's a real improvement as well.
And that can be found at the Blogger Help.
I'm
Is
sorry,
that where it was? That can be found at Blogger Help. Is that right?
Yeah, that's the Blogger Help. If you click the black question mark here in the search bar, it will open that information. The search syntax help. I am hoping that eventually they get a more, user-friendly interface for all those search terms. But again, that's something you can send feedback about if you think that would be useful. And so I just wanted to also mention the pages. Now, the difference between posts and pages is pages are static. They don't show on the home page of the blog, but what I have, for example, as the navigation at the top of my blog, those are all static pages. So you can navigate the pages list the same way you can navigate the post list. And if you want to create a new post, you just click the circle with the plus on it, which is, I think, pretty standard in Google products, and that will open the post editor. And the new post editor looks a lot different than the old post editor. If you've used it, on the right side are the post settings where you can add label, published on, that actually, if you change that, you can schedule a post. You can get the permalink for the post, and you can create your own custom permalink. If you'd rather have, you can add a location. So those are all the same settings that are in the legacy post editor. They're just spruced up. The actual post editor looks a lot different now. You add the title, you can type text as normal, but you can see that there are a lot of tools here to create a list. And then there's more options, and there's a lot more options than there used to be.
Do you have where you can enter in tables? I know that's important to people, you know, where they can put 2 columns or 3 columns and that kind of thing.
Also, I wanted to mention, because this is responsive, the number of things that appear in the top toolbar depend on how wide the window is. So, for example, I have this as sort of a smaller window, so I see fewer menu items than somebody with a great big screen and the window open all the way would.
I got you.
One of the biggest changes that new things is that now you can insert a table into your post. Tables are good if you want to organize your data, to organize the text. So, for example, if you want to have a list of formatted, you know, items and prices or anything like that, having a table lets you do that very neatly inside the post. And before there wasn't any direct way to do that. You would have to edit the HTML yourself or generate it somewhere else. So inserting a table is a new feature. And the other really big change, for me at least, is the way that you insert an image. Now, in the legacy Blogger, it's using an older Google image interface. So this is entirely new. And it lets you either upload the image, select an image from your Google Photos.
Nice. It's got Google Photos. I love it. Thank you. That's awesome.
And you can insert an image from Blogger that actually goes into the album archive. So if you, for example, if you have like some sort of blog post header image that you use all the time, you can say, oh, I'll go into Blogger and just find it in the ones that you've already inserted in your blog. That works better. If you have a lot of images, it can be kind of, you know, a drag to have to
cumbersome. Just sit there and try and find it.
or you can do it by a link. So this is really kind of stripped down from the old legacy image editor. It also, in legacy Blogger, it's possible to drag an image directly into a post. That isn't possible anymore. I'm not sure how many people actually use that. But now if you say upload from computer, you get a screen where you can drag a photo right onto the uploader.
Oh, okay. So you can do it there.
Yes. And I wanted to mention, I really like doing it from Google Photos.
Absolutely.
It brings you into an interface, and you can use, you can access either albums or the individual photos, and you can use Google Photos search, which is actually very good looking for images.
Absolutely. So wait a minute now, just so I understand, I want to make sure it's clear. Can you add an album?
No, there's no way.
You can add from an album.
That is actually a limitation, I think, on the Google Photos side. Google Photos doesn't offer any tools for embedding or anything like that. So
that's why I asked.
One thing that I miss that I kind of wish they had, it'd be neat if there was some way that Google Photos offered to make a slideshow. I mean, I can go into Google Slides. And I can create a Google, a slideshow in Google Slides, and then embed the Google Slides on my blog or site or whatever. But it would be nice if Google Photos offered that as well. It doesn't. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm sure there's a reason behind not having any public offering.
It may even be a security thing. Who knows? You know what I'm saying? Because with a lot of times with albums, they're shared and stuff like that. And then you have to incorporate a lot of other stuff. Hey, I didn't know you were going to post this out there. Oh my God, I can't believe you put that photo out. You know, just whatever, just to avoid a lot of that stuff. I think that's why they don't get into it. That's just my guess. You know how that is, Peggy. I mean, we don't know. We don't know.
That's plausible. Yeah. And I think when it was Google Plus Photos, there certainly was a lot of confusion in terms of what's public, what's not public. It wasn't always obvious. So I'm sure they had that in mind too.
Exactly.
You mentioned privacy for a second. This is an interesting question from Phil. Can you create a private post and/or page that can only be accessed by certain people?
Okay. Blogger lets you have your entire blog be private, which you can share with specific people, but there's no way to do that with individual posts or pages.
Okay.
However, you could have a private blog and then a public blog, and then have access to that private blog for people that have access to it. Have a link to it to go to that. Am I saying that right or no?
Sure. I mean, the way that the private blog works is that if you set it to be private, you can say, share it with specific email addresses. Those have to be Google account email addresses, and people have to be signed into the Google account to see the blog. So it wouldn't matter if you sent me a link to a private blog and you hadn't granted me access, or I'm not signed into the account that has access, I would not be able to see it. I know it would just be a screen that says,
makes sense. Private. Yeah. But you could kind of like what I do with my Google sites. I have an open public tinkeringwithtech.net. I have that open to the public. Then I have a members only area where it takes them to a private site, which is a whole different thing. Not even a page, but it's a whole different site. You could do the same thing with Blogger, basically. So if you had members, you could have them come over here and see that. Or even if you're doing, like, let's say you do private sessions with certain people, you could set up a blog that's a private session just for that group, and then have that link on your main page, but only the people that have been given access to that could go to that. Am I saying that right?
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, when they click on it, they would see a 404 error, or they don't have access, or something like that. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So here's another question about photos. Can you upload photos from any other cloud source?
You not directly, no.
Okay.
There isn't any there isn't any way to access any other site directly from inside Blogger. Now, a lot of other photo sharing sites, you can, if there's a link that you can do insert URL, but that's just a link. And so it's not integrated with any other non-Google platforms. It's the same if you if you choose the option to insert a video. And inserting a video, you can either upload from your computer or have a video from YouTube.
Okay.
Right. So there's no outside, like Vimeo or anything like that. There's no outside stuff. It's just straight up YouTube or a video that's on your computer. Got it.
I mean, I like things like sites like Vimeo and Twitch. Even Facebook, I think they offer an embedding code. So I will mention that if you get an embed code from somewhere, this is what you're looking at is the what I call the WYSIWYG compose mode. What you see is what you get. If you have HTML code that you want to embed something, you have to switch to HTML. That's this little icon here, HTML view, and it will switch over. Now, I don't have anything in this post particularly interesting.
Gotcha.
And if you want to, let me switch to a different post that actually has content.
And we're coming up to 35 minutes, just so you know where we are and all that kind of stuff. I just want to kind of give you a heads up there, just so you know where we are.
All right. So this is a post that has more content. If you switch to the HTML view, you can see there's HTML there. You can edit it. You can insert anything you want to embed there. The other thing that's new that I like a lot, if you preview post, you click the eye. And when you preview the post, it actually lets you choose between different kinds of computers. So you can do this computer, or you can see, this is how it's going to look on a phone. This is a phone that's rotated, full screen. So there's a lot of that that helps you actually see what your post is going to look like. And that's definitely an advantage with so many people accessing content from mobile devices. I know it's kind of old school. People sometimes forget that not everyone's on a desktop, and so things have to look good on mobile as well. So just to quickly look at some of the other features. If you go to the stats page, that's all redesigned. There aren't a lot of stats. I'm going to change this instead of the last 7 days. Since this is a text, whoops, this is a test blog. It doesn't have a lot of views, but it will give you an overview. And you can see over time. And then if you click, it will show you your top posts. And then you can click more about this blog to get detailed stats. It's not as detailed as if you use Google Analytics. It is possible to link your Blogger blog to Google Analytics. You create a property in Google Analytics, and then you add your code in your Blogger settings, and that will give you really detailed stats. But this gives you a good overview of what things look like. Somebody referred to my blog from Facebook. Okay, that's really weird since it's not even, that's just my test. But strange things happen. I guess it's not private, it's just not shared anywhere. So people are somehow finding it by accident. That's interesting. I guess I should have looked at the stats before. I just assumed it was mostly just me.
There you go. See,
now
people
you can edit the layout of your blog.
So can I ask one question here that kind of veers us off a little bit, or do we need to stick with this topic here? I don't want to interrupt you. So,
hold on just a second.
Okay.
So one of the things people asked about before is adding content. You can say add a gadget. You can add an AdSense gadget if you have AdSense linked to your blog. HTML JavaScript lets you paste any kind of code that you want. And you can add, I don't know why you'd want to add Wikipedia, but you can. You can add a logo. You can add a feed, content from a feed from another site. And then you can edit the various gadgets. I'm not actually sure. Hold on a second. Oh, you can't see. So when you edit the gadgets, it goes in a pop-up window. I'm not sharing the pop-up window.
Right.
So you can actually see it, but you can configure any of the gadgets there. You can also get a theme. Now, Blogger actually has Contempo, Soho, Emporio, and Notable are the modern themes that are responsive, and I'm using Notable for my own blog, and I recommend you actually pick one of those if you can, because they are responsive. That means they look good on mobile and they adjust.
Or other devices, yeah, exactly.
You can still use the older themes that are not responsive if you want. And as I mentioned before, there are third-party theme designers. You can import a theme if you want. You can select Restore. That lets you import the theme code. And you can edit the HTML of your theme if you know what you're doing. It's strongly recommended that you back up before you make any of those changes, because it's easy to screw things up. But I think for the average person, you don't need to do any of that. You can pick a theme, and you can, if you click the Customize button, that lets you actually specifically customize this theme, the theme that you're in. Now, the theme editor that's loading right now has not been updated yet. I assume that will probably be updated at some point. But it gives you a lot of ways to actually change things like the color.
Areas, yeah.
you can change the color and the fonts and all that sort of thing without having to actually edit the theme directly.
Gotcha.
Sorry, I should probably have not done that.
No worries. That's all right. I mean, I think we got the general idea. And like I said, you'll probably have some videos on this kind of stuff too. And a lot of this stuff, we don't, like I said, we're right at the 40-minute mark. So I want to,
make sure, time is flying, isn't it?
Yeah. I want to make sure and save some time for the community and those of you that want to learn about that, the Tinkering with Tech community, tinkeringwithtech.net. That's where we are. Heather, ask your question real quick if you want to. If you want to go ahead and do that.
You had mentioned Google Sites, and Phil wanted to know what's the difference between Blogger and Sites.
Okay.
That's actually a really good question. I have just started playing with Sites. If you can actually see the site I made for me. If you go to about.peggyktc.com, oh, actually, I can do that since I am sharing my screen. Okay, so Google Sites is designed to be a static site. You can create a site, like a blog. The idea with the blog is that you're going to be, posting things regularly. So there's a dynamic aspect to it. Sites is a static site. It lets you configure the design. It's pretty easy to use. It's not as powerful. So it's one of those trade-offs. To make it easy to use, it means you can't, customize down to the pixel kind of thing. But your site can have multiple pages in it, and it has the same sharing permissions similar to what you would see in Google Drive. I think Sites is actually aimed at businesses, like to make an internal informational site for a business. So there are more sharing options for Google Sites. And you can add other people as editors and that sort of thing. I'm not, by no means a Sites expert, but I've just started playing with it, and I think it's actually quite useful. And as you can see, I mean, I have it as a subdomain on the same domain as my blog, and it's easy to add a custom domain to that as well.
Awesome.
I look at Sites as being kind of like a landing page or a collection of landing pages, and a blog is more like reading a book. Only you keep adding chapters and chapters and chapters to that book. So that's how I look at the differences.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. Google Sites is easy to use. I know that's what we did ours with the Tinkering with Tech. We have a public and a private. So that's why I know that end of it. But how do you back up Blogger?
That is a really great question. As you can see, you can back up Blogger from the theme page. Now you can back up the content of Blogger separately from the theme. You should be able to do that from the settings. Let's see.
We can actually go into that because Huey is one of our community members. So we can actually work on that one in the Backstage Pass. So if somebody's watching this and they'd like to know how to back up Blogger, check out, I'm sure, Peggy, you have something about it on your Blogger Bible, as Andrew called it over there on your website. Yeah.
Yeah. If not, you will.
I just want to point out in the settings, there's a backup content button.
Okay.
You click that. Back up your content. You can also go to Google Takeout, which I hope is something everybody here knows about. Takeout.google.com. That lets you export your content from basically any Google service. It will create an archive, so you can create an archive of Blogger. You can create an archive of your Gmail. You can create an archive of Hangouts. All your various content, you can do that in Google Takeout, so you can do that with Blogger as well.
Awesome. Peggy K, thank you so much. I appreciate it. I really, really do. It's always great to have you on because you're so knowledgeable in a lot of this stuff. And the things that you're a product expert on, you are an expert. I mean, you really are. Be sure. Yeah. Oh, absolutely, Phil. And be sure to visit Peggy K's blogger because it's a really, really good, well done one. And she keeps up with it all the time. And you can always see new stuff that's coming out too. I really do appreciate you coming on. I really, really do. It's awesome. Awesome having you. And hopefully you won't be stuck at home forever there. But no, this is good though. It's good for us because we get a chance to see you.
It's feeling like forever now.
I know. But we'll so we're gonna go into the backstage pass. So any community member, if you're a member, and remember tinkeringwithtech.net, if you want to go check us out, see what we're like, and you can sign up there and you can come join us in the backstage pass. Thank you again, Peggy, Heather, as always. Thank you as always.
Thank you for having me.
100%.
Always great to be here.
100%. And I'm going to ship us out of here. Thank you very much. See you guys. And thank you everybody that showed up. Appreciate it. Anybody that's watching this later, ask questions and we'll get those answered. Thank you so much. Thank you.